here today, I'm here today to announce the arrest of 8 individuals who preyed on seniors in this community based upon the hard work of the individuals who work on our Save Our Seniors working group. And for those of you who don't know, Save Our Seniors is a working group that was created in April of 2025 here in the Rochester, New York area, and is comprised of members from my office, along with federal, state, and local law enforcement. It's a collaborative effort that without them working together, we're not standing here today and charging these individuals who preyed upon our most vulnerable victims, being our seniors. The interesting part of today's arrest is that it didn't involve just defendants here from the Western District of New York. This group put together and found these 8 individuals who were living in New Jersey, Georgia, Florida, Ohio, and here in the Western District of New York. So as we all know, when it comes to elder fraud, that it spans all over, and this group reached out over state lines to find these individuals. These individuals who are here in charge here in the Western District of New York are responsible for over $11 million in actual and attempted fraud. Excuse me. And of these 8 individuals, the investigation so far has led us to believe that it involved over 139 victims nationwide. Not all here, but everybody who's charged here in the Western District of New York scammed one of our seniors here in the Western District of New York. And the schemes involved, they were all wide-ranging. There's always, as we've all heard in the media before, that when it comes to elder fraud and any type of scheme that individuals put together, that there are a variety of ways. In these 8 complaints, or these 7 complaints charging 8 individuals, you've had individuals engaged in romance fraud schemes, which we've all heard about, where individuals think that they're communicating with someone that they're building a relationship with. You've had individuals who were scammed by customer support scams. You've had individuals claiming to be federal government employees, one of whom claimed that they were responsible for distributing funds for people who were victims. You also had individuals who hacked into a retirement account. You've had individuals who claimed that they wanted a secure service of a caterer by sending them checks that were greater than the amount that they requested and have them cash those checks and send money elsewhere. And you also had people's taking, which is really, they're all serious crimes, but the ones that are even more troubling are the ones where they've taken the senior's personal identifiable information and gone forward and created accounts and done things with that information. And so it's those type of scams that are out there on a daily basis, but this group found these 8 individuals and charged them. And as we all sit here today, folks, we all know that we all have someone who's a senior in our life, whether it be your mother, your grandmother, your aunt, your uncle, your friend, somebody, we all have some form of a senior who's in our lives. And what we have to tell them is that first and foremost, if they suspect that they've been scammed of any way, shape, or form, that they reach out, tell someone, a family member, and that family member reach out to law enforcement. And why this working group is so successful is because most people, when their family member is a victim of a crime like this, that they reach out to their local law enforcement. And this group is comprised of individuals from state and local law enforcement who then collaborate with federal folks here. So it's very important that we send the message out that first and foremost that we tell our seniors to be on the lookout. And I'm going to go through a list of things that obviously we may have heard before but are still very important to send the point home. We've also come to realize too, and we have to tell our seniors and anybody that they're embarrassed sometimes when it comes to the fact that they've realized that they've been scammed and they don't want to tell anyone. But we have to emphasize that it is very important to tell someone. And if they suspect that they are been scammed, not positive, tell someone, let those individuals reach out to law enforcement. So the things, the talking points that I think we have to emphasize is that nobody, nobody from the federal government, that's the latest, people claim to be that they're a representative of the federal government. No one from the federal government is going to tell you to withdraw any money from your banking accounts. Nobody from the federal government who's claiming to be a federal agent is going to tell you to go get money and exchange them for gold bars. Nobody's going to come and tell you, let's meet at your house and give me some cash, or let's meet at a predestined location. No one's ever going to do that. They're also never going to ask you to wire money to any of specific accounts. They're never going to ask you to get gift cards, Apple prepaid cards, and things of that nature. They're never going to tell you to turn your money into cryptocurrency and send it. Those are all hot red button areas of which, if those type of requests are coming, those are things that need to be addressed and reported to law enforcement. So if somebody suspects that they are a victim of such a scam, the first thing, again, you need to do is contact law enforcement. Don't send any more money. Save all communications. People, those communications are very essential when it comes to email communications, text communications. They are vital pieces of evidence that we often use when we go and track back to determine who these individuals are. And you can also submit a complaint to the ic3.gov tip line. But again, if you're dealing with a senior citizen, they may not feel comfortable with the technology to go and find this website. So again, emphasize calling your state and local law enforcement and let the process begin. So that is, in essence, the charges of the individuals. I want to tell you that all the individuals on these 8 charges face a variety of charges. Most of them are related to wire fraud. Some are charged with bank fraud, and some are charged with aggravated identity theft. For the individuals charged with bank fraud, they're looking at a maximum penalty of 30 years in prison. Those charged with wire fraud are looking at a maximum term of imprisonment of 20 years. And those who are charged with aggravated identity theft, that carries a 2-year consecutive mandatory term of imprisonment on top of whatever the court would sentence the individual. So I want everybody here to know that my office takes this stuff very, very, very seriously, especially when people are preying on our elderly. And if in fact, and when in fact, we get information and we can develop a case, we will find those individuals, we will arrest those individuals, and we will prosecute those people to the fullest extent of the law. So at that point, I'll open it up for questions if anybody has any.
Yeah, I mean, I think the initial reaction a lot of people have to hearing stories like this is, how do people fall for that? I would never fall for that. Clearly people do, and clearly it's a lucrative marketplace given the amount of people that are involved in it and the amount of dollars we're talking about here. So I wonder if you could explain a little bit, like through the investigative process, how this works, how a lot of these scams work, and how they functionally get people to hand over $500,000 in gold bars.
Well, I'll use a marriage fraud, a romance.
Sure.
Those are probably a little bit easier. So, and again, when I'm answering here is I'm not giving you a specific, this is the playbook. I'm giving you generally how these work. So you find someone who goes on a site who is really seeking a relationship. And they obviously get paired up with someone who's a bad guy or a bad person, just to leave it at that. And then they start communicating. And the communications start out very, very vanilla. It's all, we're going to do this together, we're going to do that together, we're going to have all this great time. But then it starts out with, you know what, I'm overseas right now, and I have a couple of fines I got to pay. Can you send me $200? And as soon as you send me that $200, I'll be back to help you. And then there'll be more communications, and then sometimes someone will say, and they really tug on the heartstrings, and they'll be like, again, this isn't in 24 hours or 48 hours, and it'll be like, you know what, unfortunately I got in a car accident, and I don't have health insurance, and I need some money to pay my hospital bills, can you send it to me? And then it starts, and it's increments. And the victims oftentimes, when you say, well, how do they figure it out? Well, it figures out over time because it's small increments. And then they go back in time and they start to realize that, wow, I sent 500 here, 750 this time, 1,000 this time, 1,500 this time. And then you start adding it up and the numbers will climb relatively quick. So there is no one direct playbook that I can say this is what how it happens, but we do see patterns, and in the romance schemes, those are generally the patterns. Other times, it's some of these other instances where people actually wrote a check from their checkbook, mailed the check to a vendor. The vendor never received the check. So what happens is the bad individual gets that check, takes it out of someone's mail. They now have the person who wrote the check, they have their account number, routing number, and things of that nature. And then they will try to duplicate checks associated with that account and then present them. So there's a variety of ways. I wish I could tell you there's just one set of playbook, but there's not. But we have this whole group that stands behind me in my office. We have seen patterns, and the things that I told you that need to be that we need to communicate to our family are things that we have seen in the playbook and should be red flags. If somebody in your family who's a senior tells you, oh, by the way, I've been communicating with someone and they asked me to get an Apple prepaid card. Or, for example, you find an elderly person who they all have computers, and then one of the scams that we have seen over time is you get the email saying your computer is infected with a virus. Click here. And what happens is in those particular instances is that there's malware on there, and all of a sudden they now have control of the computer. And with those circumstances, then it becomes a ransom demand. You want your computer back, pay us X, but send it in the form of cryptocurrency. And so if someone who's not savvy to these things, as technology always changes, they'll be like, okay, I'm just going to send $100 to get my computer, this virus wiped off my computer. But it doesn't stop there. It just continues. And so that's why when you say, how is it that people end up parting with their money on such a thing when you wouldn't do it, it starts out incrementally. And remember, they're preying on individuals who are very vulnerable. And so when you prey on someone who's vulnerable, that's what you get. And then individuals become embarrassed. And I will say this particular investigation deals with targeting our seniors. I've been in the office many years, and I've seen romance schemes involve individuals who were not seniors. And it happens. And, you just have to pick up on the red flag because everybody says, it's going to happen to someone else. It's not going to happen to me. And we end up standing here today charging 8 individuals. So,
is there any connection between the 8 individuals?
Overall, no. They're all separate. They all ran their own schemes. And so there's no, from what we can tell from this point of the investigation, they all ran their own schemes and did it on their own.
So no networks or anything?
Not that we're aware of, but as you've heard us say many a times, whether it was me or any of my predecessors, the investigation's always ongoing. But as I stand here today, there's nothing I can say that they're all webbed together.
Does the playbook change a little bit now with AI? I mean, obviously, that opens it up for a lot more. You know what I mean? Like, it's not just elders. Like,
no, AI is going to add another challenge to this. For the reasons we all know, that AI it's out there and it's evolving, and they can capture people's voices and things of that nature. So, yeah, it's going to add another layer, but it's not going to discourage us. We will continue to bring these cases, whether it was done. If a fraudster is using AI to commit it, we will find them eventually, and we will come and arrest them. So they might have another tool, but we have tools as well. And so it's just a battle of the toolboxes.
Get the Rochester First streaming app today for everything you love from News 8 On Demand, plus exclusive shows you won't see anywhere else. Search ROC and download for free on Roku, Amazon Fire, and Apple TV.